The courtroom went still the instant she entered. Chin lifted, smile cutting, entitlement radiating off her like heat. She didn't sit. She occupied the space, her gaze sweeping the room as if she were taking stock of what already belonged to her. Then she said it. Soft, but loud enough for every make to catch. My family owns this court. The bailiff stiffened. A murmur rippled through the room. Judge Judy raised her eyes, and for the first time, the girl's certainty wavered. What followed? No one there saw it coming. But before we get into that, tell me, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments and subscribe for more intense courtroom moments. The silence from that opening line lingers like a breath no one dares release. Judge Judy looks up just enough to acknowledge the girl standing before her. No greeting, no nod, just a pause, measured and heavy, like a verdict waiting to land. And in that quiet, something shifts. The girl's smile tightens, barely noticeable. She stands in the middle of the courtroom, like she's posing for a photograph, not attending a hearing. Her suit is immaculate, her posture sharper than her words, and the confidence she carries isn't earned. It's inherited, passed down like wealth and unchecked pride. The bailiff gestures toward the defendant's table. She doesn't move. Instead, she says, "Can we speed this up? I have lunch at the governor's office." Her voice drifts through the room, polished with entitlement. She expects a reaction, maybe laughter, but all she gets is a heavy, stunned silence. Judge Judy places her pen down. "You will sit," she says, calm and cold. The girl's jaw tightens with a faint click, the kind that hints at a lifetime of always getting her way. She steps back slowly, as if she's granting the court a favor, then drops into the chair with exaggerated reluctance. Papers sit in front of her, clean untouched. She hasn't looked at a single one. She doesn't think she needs to. Across from her, the plaintiff stands quietly, gripping the table as if it's the only thing keeping her steady. Her hands shake. Not from weakness, but from years of staying silent. She glances at the defendant, quick, nervous, familiar. The girl pretends not to notice, but there's a flicker along her jaw, a small crack in the mask. Judge Judy begins, "State your name." The defendant leans back, arms crossed. "You already know who I am." A wave of whispers moves through the courtroom. Cameras adjust, zooming in on the tension thick in the air. Judy's gaze sharpens. For the record, that was not a request. The girl exhales loudly, dramatic and deliberate. "Fine, She stops. A flicker of uncertainty crosses her face, like she suddenly realizes that saying her name here means something different. Something real. Her identity, her shield, her currency, becomes evidence the moment she speaks it. Judy notices. She always does. Her voice cuts clean through the air. "You walked into my courtroom claiming your family owns it. Say your name." There's no anger in her tone. Just precision. The girl's confidence falters. Just for a second, barely visible. But it's enough. Enough for the plaintiff to steady her breathing. Enough for the audience to lean in. Enough for the cameras to capture the moment authority meets accountability. Finally, the girl speaks. "I am Charlotte Hale." Her voice lands heavier than she expects. Heavy enough that even she feels it. Judge Judy nods once. "Good. Now let's discuss why you're here." Charlotte smirks again, but it's thinner now. "Honestly, this entire situation is beneath me." Judy lifts a single page, and whatever is written on it erases the smirk instantly. Charlotte's eyes widen, just a fraction, as Judy says, "Then explain this." The paper hasn't even been lowered yet, but Charlotte leans forward, trying to regain control, only to feel it slipping away. Her voice turns sweet again, but there's a tremor now. She knows what confidence looks like. This isn't it. Judge Judy shifts her attention. "M's raise, you may begin." The young woman steps carefully forward. Her breathing is shallow, her posture guarded. But something in her eyes has changed since Charlotte said her name. The truth isn't here by accident. She fought for it. "My name is Elena Reyes," she says quietly. "And I filed this complaint because the defendant threatened my family." The room goes still. Charlotte scoffs immediately. "Threatened? Please. I warned you. There's a difference." Elena flinches, just once. Judge Judy raises a hand. "Miss Hale, you will not speak unless I ask you to." Charlotte leans back, lips pressed into a tight, tilted smile pretending to be confidence. Her manicured nail taps against the table, sharp, rhythmic, impatient. Entitlement seeps through every movement. Elena continues. "I worked as a volunteer for her father's outreach program. I thought it would help my family. We needed support, They promised assistance with my brother's medical bills if I helped with events. Charlotte rolls her eyes. And you got what you wanted, didn't you? Elena swallows. No ma'am, I got used. A ripple moves through the audience. Judge Judy leans forward slightly. Used how? Elena hesitates, fingers tightening around her folder, the paper crinkling softly. But she pushes through. She told me that if I didn't work extra hours for free, she would make sure my brother's aid application disappeared from the system. Charlotte lifts her chin. I was joking. You never joked. Elena says, her voice stronger now. You said it in front of staff. More than once. You told me I should be grateful someone like you even noticed my family. The Charlotte snaps. That is completely out of. Miss Hale. Judge Judy's voice cuts her off mid-word, mid-breath, mid-performance. If you interrupt again, I will remove you from your own hearing. Sit still. Be quiet. For once, just listen. A camera pushes in on Charlotte's face. Something shifts again, fear faint but beginning to grow. Judge Judy gives a small gesture. Continue, Miss Reyes. Elena opens her folder, hands trembling with care. I saved everything. Every message, every voicemail, every instruction she gave me to handle things quietly. But the worst part was when she threatened my father's job. Gasps ripple through the room. Charlotte lets out a laugh. But it lands wrong this time. Too sharp. Too hollow. Her father is a janitor at one of our offices. I only reminded her that loyalty matters. If he chose to embarrass us by complaining. Judge Judy's brow lifts, cutting her off. Embarrass you, by reporting mistreatment. Silence drops across the courtroom like a curtain. Elena's hands hover over the documents, frozen for a moment. Then she lifts a single sheet. Carefully, like it carries more weight than it should, and steps forward, placing it on the bench. Judge Judy reads it once. Then again, slower this time. She looks up, eyes narrowing. Miss Hale, why does this document contradict everything you've just stated? The page in her hand seems heavier than paper ought to be. Charlotte watches Judy's eyes track across it, and for the first time, her confidence doesn't just flicker. It stumbles. The air in the room tightens, like tension pulled through clenched teeth. Judy lowers the page slightly. Miss Reyes, where did you get this? Where Elena's gaze drops. She sent it to me, after threatening my father. Charlotte jerks upright. That's impossible. Her voice slices through the silence, sharp, panicked. Not the voice of someone who believes she's untouchable. Impossible. Judge Judy repeats calmly. Why? Charlotte opens her mouth, but nothing clear comes out. The cameras lock onto her face. Perfect makeup, flawless hair, but her eyes are widening, stretched thin by the pressure of truth. Elena speaks quietly. She emailed it at 20:14 a.m. I kept everything. You forged it. Charlotte snaps, like someone clinging to the last excuse she has. You had to. I never. Judge Judy raises a hand. I haven't asked for explanations yet. The room goes still. I asked why it's impossible. Her voice is soft, but sharp enough to cut. Charlotte swallows hard. The sound of it clicks faintly into the microphone. Because I deleted that file months ago. The audience reacts instantly, gasps, whispers, tension spreading like wind through tall grass. Elena steadies herself. You deleted it after telling me you'd clean up loose ends. You said digital footprints disappear when your family is in charge. Charlotte slams her hand lightly against the table. I never said that. Judge Judy raises an eyebrow. But you did delete something. Charlotte freezes. The trap tightens. I delete things all the time. Everyone deletes things. Not everyone deletes evidence. Judy replies. The silence that follows is so deep it feels loud. Charlotte's hand begins to tremble. The first real crack. She tries to hide it beneath the table, but the camera catches it anyway. Her eyes dart everywhere except toward Elena, who stands steady now, guarding the truth she carried alone for far too long. Judge Judy signals toward the clerk. Bring the folder. A man steps forward from the side, carrying a thick navy binder. He places it carefully on the bench. The entire room seems to inhale at once. That, Judy says, tapping the cover, is the metadata log of Miss Hale's digital correspondence. Subpoenaed. Charlotte's head snaps up. Subpoenaed by who? Be the court. Judy answers simply. The color drains from Charlotte's face. Judy opens the binder. Inside, a flood of printed screenshots, timestamps, and recovered deletions spreads across the desk. A forensic trail of digital footprints Charlotte believed were gone forever. The camera cuts close. Charlotte's fingers grip the edge of the table, knuckles turning white. Miss Reyes. Judge Judy says, without lifting her eyes from the pages. The document you submitted is an exact match to the deleted file we recovered. Elena gives a small nod, tears threatening to rise, held back only by a strength she didn't realize she had. Charlotte exhales unevenly. This can't be real. Judge Judy finally looks directly at her. Then explain this, Miss Hale. If you never sent it, why was it discovered in your deleted archive? Before Charlotte can respond, the clerk steps forward again, holding a small audio recorder. Your Honor, he says quietly, there's something else you should hear. The device rests on the bench. Small, ordinary. Yet it seems to carry enormous weight. The entire room feels it, as if everything could shift because of what's inside. Charlotte stares at it like it shouldn't exist. Her confidence, once loud and dominating, thins into something fragile and strained. Judge Judy gives a slight nod. Play it. A soft click. A brief hiss of static. Then Charlotte's voice fills the room, clear, sharp, and soaked in the very entitlement she denied. Fix it, Elena. I don't care how. My father's office cannot look bad because of your family's problems. Make it disappear. A wave of murmurs rolls through the courtroom. The sound seems to stretch the space itself, amplifying every breath. Charlotte's posture begins to crumble, not dramatically, but in subtle shifts. Her shoulders dip slightly, her chin pulls inward, her gaze loses focus. The recording continues. If your brother's bills are overwhelming, that's your problem, not mine. But if you want help, then be useful. Charlotte flinches, as if struck. Elena keeps her eyes down, fixed on the floor, on the truth she carried alone for far too long. Judge Judy leans back, completely still. Her face shows nothing, but that absence of emotion is heavier than anger. It feels like disappointment sharpened into judgment. Charlotte finally finds her voice, though it sounds different now. That's not. Judge Judy doesn't blink. Yes, it is. Charlotte rushes, her voice cracking, too fast, too high. I didn't say those exact words. The recording plays on, ignoring her unraveling. You think loyalty is optional. Let me be clear, Elena. Your family needs this job more than we need you. The gasps echo across the courtroom. Charlotte sinks lower in her seat. Judge Judy lifts the recorder slightly, letting it catch the light. Miss Hale, that is your voice. It's being taken out of context. Charlotte insists, clinging to what little control she has left. I was frustrated. She was incompetent. This is exaggerated. No, Judge Judy says quietly. This is who you chose to be. Charlotte's mouth opens but no words follow. The recording ends with a soft click, final, like a gavel striking wood. Silence spreads thick and suffocating. Judy places the recorder down. Miss Reyes, were you aware you were being recorded? Elena shakes her head. No, Your Honor. I recorded it because I was afraid. That sentence lands heavier than anything else. Charlotte's eyes narrow, not with confidence, but with the realization that her own words have turned against her. So, Judge Judy continues, folding her hands, you deny that the recording is authentic. Charlotte hesitates. Her breathing becomes uneven, her eyes darting, from the clerk to the exit, then back to the judge. Yes, I deny it. Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. Interesting. She reaches for the navy binder again, flipping through a few pages before stopping. Because according to the metadata, she says slowly, her voice turning cold and precise, your phone was in that exact location at the exact time this was recorded. Charlotte freezes. And there's more. Judy adds, tapping the page with deliberate calm. There was another person present. A second voice. Faint, but detectable, in the background. Charlotte's eyes widen. Judge Judy looks straight at her. Miss Hale, who else was in that room with you? The question hits like a spotlight. Sudden, blinding, impossible to escape. Charlotte doesn't move. Even her breathing seems to pause, as if answering might change everything. Judge Judy repeats, slower this time. Who was in that room with you? The courtroom leans forward, chairs creaking, cameras inching closer. Tension tightening around Charlotte like a vice. She opens her mouth but the words, like her confidence, don't come. The clerk steps forward again, placing a printed spectrogram on the bench. Your Honor, audio analysis isolated a second frequency. A male voice, very faint. Judge Judy studies it briefly. Miss Hale, you stated that only the plaintiff was present. That appears to be untrue. Charlotte finally speaks, but her voice is thin now, stripped of its usual arrogance. It must be background noise. Someone outside a television, maybe. Judy's eyes narrow. Miss Hale, this conversation took place after midnight, inside a locked outreach office. Are you suggesting you were watching television while speaking to her like this? Charlotte stiffens. I wasn't threatening. That wasn't my question. Silence coils tightly around them. Elena's hands twist together nervously, but she doesn't look at Charlotte. Her focus stays on Judge Judy, waiting as the truth is uncovered piece by piece. She has waited months for this. Months of being dismissed, ignored, intimidated. Judge Judy taps the page lightly. This second voice. Does it belong to someone employed by your father? Charlotte blinks slowly, as if each second pulls her closer to an edge she didn't realize she was standing on. No. Then who? Her leg bounces once under the table. A small, telling movement. The cameras catch it instantly, zooming in on the tremor traveling through her posture. Judy's tone sharpens just enough to cut through the room. Miss Hale, I'm giving you an opportunity to answer truthfully. The Charlotte inhales shakily. No comment. Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. This isn't a press conference. No comment isn't an option here. Give me the name. Charlotte's lips quiver. I don't. Before she can finish, the clerk steps forward again, holding another document. Your Honor, we reviewed the building keycard logs from the night of the recording. A hush settles over the room. Charlotte's eyes widen. Judy takes the paper and reads aloud. 2 entries. Miss Elena Reyes and Mark Alberts. A ripple of recognition spreads through the courtroom. Elena frowns. Mark, he was one of the staff. He told me he wasn't working that night. Charlotte's entire body tenses. Hey, he just stopped by for a moment. Why? Judy asks. Charlotte doesn't respond. Elena's breath catches. Was he helping you intimidate me? It wasn't like that. Charlotte blurts too quickly, too loudly. He's loyal. He understands how things operate. Hey, he was just advising me. Judge Judy raises a hand, restoring order instantly. Did he guide you? Tell you what to say? Charlotte looks down at the table, as if the lines in the wood might offer her a way out. Her silence answers clearly enough. Judy leans forward slightly. Bring him in. Charlotte jerks upright, panic breaking fully through her composure. No, he can't. The side door creaks open. Mark Alberts steps inside, fear already written across his face. The truth isn't hidden anymore. It's walking straight into the room. He stops just inside the doorway, as if the threshold itself holds him in place. His eyes flick toward Charlotte. Quick, desperate pleading. The way she avoids his gaze tells everyone exactly what they need to know. Whatever he carries, she does not want it spoken aloud. Judge Judy gestures toward the stand. Step forward. Mark moves reluctantly, his shoes scraping softly against the floor. He sits, wringing his hands, posture folded inward, like someone burdened by something too heavy to carry. State your name. Judy says. Mark Alberts, he murmurs, then clears his throat. Mark Alberts. Charlotte finally speaks again, her tone sharper than it has been since the recording played. Your Honor, he's irrelevant. He has nothing to do with this. Judy cuts her off. You don't decide what's relevant. Charlotte snaps her mouth shut, but the strain in her breathing is audible. Judy turns back to Mark. Were you present during the conversation we just heard? Mark's eyes dart toward Charlotte again, searching for guidance. For permission. She gives the slightest shake of her head, a silent attempt to control him. Judy's voice sharpens. Mr. Alberts, look at me. Were you in that room? The silence stretches tight, then snaps. Wes. The single word lands like an explosion across the courtroom. Charlotte's chair scrapes harshly as she turns toward him. Mark. He flinches. I was only supposed to oversee the outreach files. She asked me to stay. For what purpose? Judy asks. Mark hesitates, his lips trembling as unfinished words die before forming. Then, finally, he forces it out. She said I needed to make sure Elena did what she was told. Elena inhales sharply. A quiet, wounded sound. Judy leans forward. And what does what she was told mean? Mark's shoulders collapse further inward. Miss Hale said the program couldn't risk negative attention. She said Elena needed to stay quiet about the irregularities. The courtroom reacts instantly. A wave of whispers slicing through the air. Charlotte slams her hand against the table. He's lying. He's just afraid of losing his job. Judy's reply is calm, but cutting. If he were afraid of losing his job, he'd be protecting you. Mark's face crumples. I tried to. But it kept getting worse. She told me to remind Alina what would happen if she didn't cooperate. Alina's hands tremble. He cornered me in the hallway. He said my brother's file could disappear. Mark shuts his eyes tightly. I'm sorry. I didn't want to say those things. But he stops himself, swallowing hard. Judy's voice lowers into something cold and steady. She what, Mr. Alberts? Mark hesitates, glances at Charlotte, then looks away. She said her family would take care of everything if things went wrong, that I'd be protected. Charlotte bursts out. That's not what I meant. Judy raises a hand. Enough. Mark continues, his voice shaking. She also told me not to talk and that someone higher up would make sure I stayed quiet. Judy leans in slightly. Who? Mark's lips part, trembling. He whispers, barely audible, it wasn't her father. The room goes still, waiting for the next name to fall. His words hang in the air like smoke. Thin, drifting, impossible to grasp, yet impossible to ignore. Not her father. Two words that shift the entire atmosphere of the courtroom. Judge Judy straightens in her chair. If not her father, then who? Charlotte leans forward, panic sharpening every movement. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's confused. This is absurd. Miss Hale, Judy warns, sit back. Charlotte freezes, then slowly lowers herself into her chair, as if the command itself forces her down. Mark's eyes shine with fear. It was someone else in the family. A wave of murmurs cuts through the courtroom. Cameras push in closer, even the bailiff straightens. Judy's voice turns sharp and precise. Which family member? Charlotte's breathing grows loud enough for the microphones to catch. Short, shallow, uneven. She gives Mark the slightest shake of her head, a silent plea or command. It's impossible to tell which. Mark swallows hard. Her mother. The room reacts instantly. Not loudly, but sharply. A collective gasp slices through the air like glass. Judge Judy strikes the gavel once. Order returns, but the shock lingers beneath the surface. Charlotte's face drains of color. No. Absolutely not. My mother has nothing to do with this. Judy locks her gaze on her. Didn't you tell him someone higher up would ensure he stayed quiet? Charlotte's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. Her shoulders begin to tremble. A strand of hair slips loose, hanging beside her cheek like a fracture in something once flawless. Mark wipes his hands against his pants. She said her mother handles internal issues, that if I cooperated, nothing would happen to me. But if I didn't, he lowers his head. She implied I could lose more than my job. Alina's breath catches. The words hit her like cold confirmation. Something she had felt but could never prove. Charlotte slams her hands against the table. I never said that, Miss Hale. Judy replies, her voice firm as stone. Raising your voice will not change the truth. Charlotte's anger falters, cracking into something more fragile. Desperation wrapped in defiance. My mother would never sabotage me. She's always protected me. Judy studies her carefully. Is that so? Charlotte's eyes flicker. Just a moment too long, just enough to matter. Judy turns back to Mark. Did Miss Hale ever indicate that her mother directed her actions toward Miss Ray's or her family? Mark hesitates briefly, then nods. Yes, she said her mother wanted the situation contained. Charlotte's breath stutters, a small, wounded sound escaping. You don't understand. My mother, she fixes things. She always has. She told me to control the narrative. That's all. Judy raises an eyebrow. Control the narrative. Charlotte swallows, realizing too late what she's admitting. I mean, just keep things from getting out of hand. Out of hand. Judy repeats. Like threatening a volunteer's family. Charlotte's eyes fill with panic. No. That's enough. The words freeze the room. Judy folds her hands over the binder, her voice lowering, steady and sharp. Mr. Alberts, did Miss Hale ever suggest that her mother expected this young woman to remain silent? Mark nods once. Heavy final. Charlotte stops breathing. Judy leans back slightly, eyes narrowing. Then it appears we need to examine your mother's role in this, Miss Hale. The silence that follows feels too large for the room. As if even the walls are holding their breath, Charlotte's mother, a name not yet spoken, already begins to reshape the atmosphere with its weight. Judge Judy doesn't rush. She lets the tension settle, lets it press down on everyone present. Then she looks directly at Charlotte. Miss Hale, your mother's involvement is now central to this case. Charlotte flinches. Not dramatically, but enough. A tightening around her eyes, a tremor in her chin. For someone who has built her identity on composure, the crack feels enormous. My mother has nothing to do with this, she whispers. Judy lifts an eyebrow. Then why does Mr. Alberts believe she does? Charlotte shoots Mark a sharp look, one that makes him recoil. He's trying to save himself, she snaps. He's lying to protect his job. Mark's voice shakes. I'm not lying. Your mother called me. Charlotte stiffens. That's impossible. She called me. He repeats, quieter now, to ask what Elena had said. And to remind me that loyalty keeps programs running smoothly. Elena presses a hand to her stomach as if steadying herself against the impact. Judy cuts through the tension. Miss Hale, did your mother instruct you to control the narrative, as you described earlier? Charlotte's lips part, but the pause that follows says everything. Cameras zoom in, capturing the silence. Then she forces a smile, thin, brittle, practiced. My mother advises me. Like any parent, she offers guidance. She doesn't control my actions. Judy tilts her head. Did she tell you to ensure Miss Reyes stayed quiet? Charlotte exhales unevenly. No. Of course not. She would never. But Mark interrupts, his voice trembling with the weight of truth. She said Elena needed to understand the consequences of spreading rumors. Elena gasps. Judy turns sharply. Mr. Alberts, are you telling this court that the senator's wife directly referenced consequences? Yes, he whispers. She murmurs, people who value their opportunities don't risk losing them. A crushing stillness spreads through the courtroom, thick and suffocating. Charlotte's composure starts to crack. She would never say that. Never. You're twisting what she meant. Judy watches her carefully. Miss Hale, sometimes parents disguise their expectations in polite language. But their children still understand the message. The Charlotte's breathing falters, uneven and shaky. Elena looks at her, not with victory, but with quiet sadness. Judy leans in slightly. Did your mother tell you to threaten this young woman's family? Charlotte shakes her head too fast. No, she just told me to handle it. Handle it. Judy repeats slowly. And how did you take that? Charlotte's throat tightens. The words won't come. Mark speaks under his breath. She understood it exactly the way her mother intended. Charlotte snaps toward him. Stop talking. But the damage is done. The truth is unraveling, faster than she can contain it, and everyone can feel it. Judy's voice lowers, calm but cutting. Miss Hale, we cannot proceed until you tell this court precisely what your mother instructed you to do. Charlotte sits frozen, eyes wide, breathing shallow, caught between fear and something that feels like betrayal. Then finally, in a fragile whisper, she admits, she told me to deal with Elena, whatever it took. A stunned silence fills the room. Her breath trembles into the microphone. Her eyes dart, not to the judge, not to Elena, but toward the door as if expecting someone to walk in and save her. No one does. Judy leans forward, fingers interlocked, posture firm. Miss Hale, you previously claimed your mother had no involvement. Yet your own statement contradicts that. Charlotte shakes her head, her voice breaking. I didn't mean, she didn't mean, she just gives advice. She doesn't. This is being twisted. Elena's expression softens despite everything. Charlotte, your mother asked about my brother's records. She contacted my father's supervisor. That's not advice. Charlotte shuts her eyes tightly. For the first time, she doesn't look powerful or untouchable, just lost beneath the weight of everything she believed. Judy continues, steady and composed. Miss Reyes, please step forward. Elena approaches, holding a sheet of paper. Her hands are steadier now. She's no longer pleading to be believed. She's presenting the truth. Your Honor, this is the call log from the senator's office. The number that contacted my father's employer belongs to Mrs. Hale. Charlotte jerks her head up. No, she wouldn't threaten your father. She was protecting the program's reputation. Judy raises an eyebrow. A threat made in the name of reputation is still a threat. The clerk hands over the document. Judy reviews the entries, the timestamps, the repeated calls. The evidence speaks clearly, telling a story Charlotte can no longer escape. Miss Hale, Judy says, were you aware your mother contacted Miss Reyes's father? Charlotte's lips part, then press together. Panic flashes in her eyes. She said she would take care of it. I didn't know. Her voice fractures. Mark speaks quietly from the stand. She told me the same thing. Charlotte turns on him, hurt flashing across her face. You betrayed me. Mark's voice cracks. You asked me to protect you. But your mother told me to protect the family. Judy's gaze sharpens. And you believed that meant silencing Miss Race. Mark hesitates, guilt heavy in his tone. I thought if the senator's wife wanted something contained, it had to be serious. Elena speaks softly, but firmly. You helped intimidate my family. You made us feel powerless like we didn't matter. Mark lowers his head. I know, I'm sorry. Charlotte's breathing becomes uneven, as if every apology chips away at the reality she once trusted. Judy places the call log down carefully. Miss Hale. This evidence shows that what you believed was protection was actually involvement. Charlotte stares down at the desk, her reflection fractured in the polished surface. Elena watches her, and for a brief moment, there's genuine pity. Judy leans forward again. Miss Hale, did your mother act alone? Charlotte looks up, eyes wide, voice barely there. I don't know anymore. But I think she wanted this to fall on me. The weight of her words shifts the entire room. The girl who once acted untouchable now stands on uncertain ground. Judy's tone softens slightly, though still precise. Miss Hale, when did you begin to question your mother's intentions? Charlotte blinks rapidly. When the recording came back, I asked her about it. She told me not to question where it came from. Just to fix it. Elena glances at her, not with triumph, but with a quiet understanding. Two young women from completely different worlds, both shaped by forces beyond their control. Judy leans in. Did you confront her? Charlotte swallows hard. No, you don't confront my mother. You follow instructions. A murmur spreads across the courtroom. Cameras push in closer as Charlotte's enclosure continues to break apart. Mark shifts on the stand, his voice low but clear. Her mother doesn't need to raise her voice. Your Honor, she scares people with silence. Charlotte snaps toward him, pain flickering across her face. You don't know her. I know what she expected. Mark replies quietly. She told me to protect the family name, not you. Never you. Charlotte's breath falters. Her shoulders draw inward, as if bracing for something that never physically comes. Judy watches her closely. Miss Hale. Is this the first time your mother has asked you to fix something? Charlotte pauses, but this time it isn't fear, it's memory. No, she murmurs. It isn't. Judy remains silent, allowing the quiet to pull the truth out. Charlotte brushes at her eye, catching a tear before it can fall. When I was younger, she always told me I had one responsibility: keep the family image flawless. Look perfect, sound perfect, be perfect. Mistakes weren't allowed. Her voice fractures, delicate as glass. Elena studies her, her expression softening despite everything. Judy tilts her head slightly. And you believed handling Miss Ray's was just another assignment in perfection. Charlotte gives a small, broken nod. I thought if I fixed it she'd finally be proud of me. Mark lowers his gaze. Elena looks away. The entire courtroom seems to exhale at once. Judy's tone sharpens just a fraction. Pride is not built on manipulation, Miss Hale. And loyalty is not born from fear. Charlotte nods again, slower this time, as if the words are finally reaching her. Then Judy asks, did your mother know you were being subpoenaed? Charlotte goes still. Something inside her freezes. Her thoughts, her breath, her defenses. I told her, she says softly. And what was her response? Judy asks. She said not to worry, that the court would never get what they needed. Judy narrows her eyes. And what did she mean by that? Charlotte hesitates for a long, painful moment. The entire room leans forward. Finally, she whispers. She said the recording was supposed to be gone. A ripple of shock moves through the courtroom. Judy's expression hardens. If your mother knew about the recording, she may have taken steps to hide it. Charlotte nods, trembling. I think she did. Judy leans forward, voice low and deliberate. Miss Hale, then explain to this court how the recording still exists. The question hangs over her like a blade. Charlotte's fingers press into her palms. Her eyes shift between the judge, Elena, and Mark, searching for a version of the truth she can survive. But there's only one truth that matters here. Judy waits, unblinking. Charlotte inhales shakily. I tried to delete it, I really did. The words hit the room hard. Elena stiffens. Mark's shoulders drop. Even the bailiff shifts slightly, sensing the tension rise. Judy's voice settles into a calm, precise tone. Explain exactly what you did. Charlotte looks down at her lap. That night, when I got home, I erased the message thread. I deleted my backups. I even asked our IT technician to wipe my phone. Her voice grows thinner. My mother told me I had to. Elena's breath catches. Your mother helped you cover it up. Charlotte looks up, and for once, there's no arrogance. No performance. Just raw honesty breaking through. She said the recording would ruin our family's reputation. She said people like Alina would twist anything to their advantage. That it was my responsibility to protect us. A murmur spreads through the courtroom until Judy raises her hand, instantly restoring silence. Your mother convinced you that silencing someone was protection. Charlotte nods, a tear finally slipping down her cheek. I thought loyalty meant obeying her. I thought I was doing the right thing. Alina watches her, pain and something close to sympathy mixing in her expression. Judy's voice softens slightly, not gentle, but grounded. Miss Hale, loyalty is not blind obedience, and truth is not something to be erased. Charlotte covers her face for a moment, steadying herself before continuing. I did everything I could to make that recording disappear. But it didn't matter. Judy leans forward. Why not? Charlotte hesitates, her voice nearly breaking. Because the copy Alina has didn't come from her phone. Alina freezes. What? Charlotte nods slowly, weighed down by the admission. Someone sent it to her anonymously. I don't know who. I only know my mother kept asking if Alina had said anything to anyone, and when I told her Alina seemed calmed. Charlotte swallows hard. She looked relieved. Charlotte swallows, the relief in her expression coming too quickly, too sharply. Judy narrows her gaze. You think someone preserved that recording on purpose? Charlotte's eyes glisten. Not with fear of punishment, but with the weight of realization. Yes. Someone who knew my mother was trying to erase it. She grips the edge of the table, her knuckles turning pale. Someone who wanted Elena to have the truth. Mark lifts his head suddenly. Elena turns toward Charlotte, stunned. Judy studies them both before speaking again. Miss Hale, who else had access to the outreach office that night? Charlotte shuts her eyes, as if saying the name might break something inside her. A friend. She finally says, voice shaking. Someone I trusted. Judy's expression sharpens. Name her. Charlotte opens her eyes, glassy and shattered. It was my best friend, she whispers. She kept a copy, one I didn't even know existed. The room absorbs her words in heavy, stunned silence. The person she trusted most, more than staff, more than advisors, even more than herself. Judy places her hands on the bench. Miss Hale, give the court her name. Charlotte swallows again. Marissa. The name is soft, almost fragile, but it lands with force, like a stone dropped into still water, sending ripples across the room. Judy nods once. And what role did Marissa play in all of this? Charlotte's fingers curl tightly against the table, holding on like it's the only thing keeping her steady. She worked with me on every outreach event. She saw how overwhelmed I was, how Elena kept getting pushed aside. Her voice falters. She saw how I was changing. Alina watches her closely, her expression shifting, tired but human, softer than before. Judy continues, calm and steady. Did Marissa know about the recording the night it was made? Charlotte shakes her head. No. She found out later. I told her I was handling something important, but she kept pushing until I admitted Elena had recorded me. Her face tightens at the memory. I thought she'd help me fix it. She always did. She always stayed loyal. Mark lowers his gaze, silent with guilt. Elena stands still, waiting. Charlotte continues, her voice beginning to crack apart. I told her I deleted everything, wiped it clean. But she just stared at me like she didn't even know who I was anymore. She quickly wipes her cheek. Then she asked me what Elena had done to deserve being threatened. Elena lowers her eyes. Judy leans forward slightly. And what did you tell her? Charlotte's voice drops to a whisper. I said Elena was causing problems, that I was protecting my family. A tear slips down her face. Marissa told me, protecting your family doesn't mean hurting someone who's done nothing wrong. The courtroom holds its breath. Charlotte continues. The words unsteady but unstoppable now. She said she'd stayed quiet for years, covered for my mistakes. But she wouldn't cover this. Her voice trembles. She said if my mother was trying to bury the truth, then someone had to save it. Elena's eyes widen. She protected me. The Charlotte nods faintly. She said it wasn't about choosing sides. It was about choosing what's right. She swallows hard. I didn't know she made a backup. I didn't know she sent it anonymously. I only realized later, when my mother started panicking, that someone else had the file. Judy's brow lifts slightly. Your mother was afraid. Charlotte nods again, a visible shiver running through her. She's only afraid when she loses control, when the truth slips out of her hands. Mark's breathing falters. Elena looks down, absorbing everything. Judy taps the bench lightly, the sound cutting clean through the tension. Miss Reyes, step forward. Judy gestures toward Charlotte. This friend, Marissa, why do you think she chose to protect Elena instead of you? Charlotte exhales shakily. Because she saw what I was becoming. And she knew Elena didn't deserve that version of me. A quiet silence settles over the room, heavy, reflective, almost mournful. Judy studies her. Miss Hale, do you believe your mother intended for you to take the blame for all of this? Charlotte gives a faint nod. Elena's voice breaks the silence. Charlotte, why would she do that? Charlotte forces herself to look at her. Because. Her voice fractures. My mother has been covering her own mistakes for years, and I was her shield. The realization lands like a weight across the courtroom, leaving everything suspended in stillness. Even Judge Judy pauses, as if recalibrating the emotional balance of the room. Then she gestures to the clerk. Bring in the written statement. Paper rustles softly. The clerk hands over a bound document. Simple, plain, yet heavy with undeniable truth. It settles on the bench like it carries more weight than its pages suggest. Charlotte's breath catches. She submitted something. Judy nods. Not your mother. She turns a page. Marissa. Charlotte's eyes widen, not in anger or fear, but in something far more painful. Understanding. The realization that the person she believed had betrayed her may have been trying to protect her all along. Judge Judy begins to read. The courtroom falls into absolute stillness. Even the bailiff subtly lowers his posture as the words fill the room. Charlotte is not naturally unkind. Judy reads. She was shaped that way. Her mother imposes standards she never applies to herself. I've watched her grow in a world where mistakes are punishable. Honesty is weakness, and appearance is everything. Charlotte lowers her head. A single tear slips down without warning. Judy continues, her tone soft but piercing. When Elena asked for help, Charlotte didn't react out of cruelty, but out of fear. She has been conditioned to avoid blame at all costs. She believes her worth depends entirely on her mother's approval. Mark closes his eyes. Elena presses a hand to her mouth. I didn't keep the recording to punish Charlotte. The statement continues. I kept it because I care about her. And I was afraid of what she would become trying to earn her mother's approval. Charlotte's shoulders fold inward, trembling. It isn't arrogance breaking anymore. It's identity collapsing. Judy slowly sets the document down. Your friend sees you as someone shaped by fear, not malice. Charlotte covers her mouth, a broken sound slipping out despite her effort to hold it back. Why didn't she tell me? She whispers. Elena answers quietly before Judy can. Because you weren't someone who could hear the truth then. Charlotte looks at her, really looks at her. For the first time without power, pride, or distance between them. Something fragile passes through that shared gazy recognition, pain, humanity. Judy taps the statement lightly. Miss Reyes, is there anything you want to add? Elena steps forward. She is no longer afraid, no longer defensive. She is steady. I never wanted to ruin your life, she says softly. I just wanted mine back. That is what breaks Charlotte. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in a quiet collapse of breath, like years of pressure finally letting go at once. Judy watches her with a calm, almost steady compassion. Miss Hale, this statement presents a very different picture of you than the one you've shown here. Charlotte nods through tears. I know. Judy leans forward. Then tell the court, what do you want to say to Miss Reyes? Charlotte inhales deeply. For the first time, her voice isn't shaped by anyone else's expectations. She opens her mouth, trembling, as the room waits for a truth that has never been spoken in her voice alone. She stands frozen, words trapped beneath everything she's carried. Before she can speak, Judge Judy gently raises a hand and turns toward Elena. Miss Reyes, she says, you've heard confessions, justifications and revelations. Now it's your turn. The room tightens with anticipation. Elena exhales slowly and steps forward, not as someone defined by what happened to her, but as someone finally ready to reclaim her voice. Her hands slowly release the folder she has been holding for so long that it now feels almost weightless. She steps into the center of the courtroom, the overhead light catching her face. Human, exhausted, and carrying a quiet strength she didn't have when she first arrived. She looks toward Charlotte, but Charlotte cannot meet her gaze. Then Alina begins. "When you threatened my family," she says softly, "I didn't sleep for days. My brother was in the hospital. My father was working double shifts just to keep us afloat. We didn't have the privilege of standing up to someone like you. Everything you said, it controlled our future." Charlotte's breath trembles. Alina continues, her voice steadier now, as if she is reclaiming pieces of herself one by one. "You made me feel insignificant, replaceable, like my family's suffering didn't matter in your world. I was terrified every time the phone rang, thinking it would be more consequences because I hadn't obeyed you fast enough." Charlotte slowly lifts her eyes. They are no longer cold, they are raw, exposed. "I didn't want revenge," Alina says. "I didn't want your money. I just wanted to stop feeling like my family's dignity depended on your approval." A heavy silence settles over the room. Alina lowers her gaze for a moment, then looks up again directly at Charlotte. "After hearing what Marissa wrote, after everything you've admitted today, I understand something I didn't before." Charlotte's eyes glisten, open and fragile. "You weren't just trying to hurt me," Alina says. "You were trying to become someone your mother could be proud of, someone she could control." The words land quietly, but they cut deeper than any accusation. Charlotte's expression breaks not in anger, but in grief. Not because she was exposed, but because she was finally understood. Alina steps slightly closer, her voice shaking. "Not with fear now, but honesty. But understanding you doesn't erase what you did. Pain is still pain, and you had power, resources, protection while my family had nothing." Charlotte nods faintly, tears slipping down her face. "I needed you to see us," Alina whispers. "To understand that your choices weren't small. They didn't just inconvenience people. They harmed them. They made real families afraid. They made us feel invisible." Judge Judy watches in silence, allowing every word to settle across the courtroom like a verdict still forming. Alina wipes her face. "If you're going to apologize, mean it. Not because you got caught, but because you understand." Charlotte inhales sharply, broken, then slowly lifts her head fully to face her. Judge Judy speaks into the silence. "Miss Hale, you may respond." Charlotte opens her mouth, voice trembling at the edge of something irreversible. "I." The room stills completely, waiting for the person she will choose to become. Her voice finally steadies, stripped of pride and protection. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "Not because I got caught, not because I'm ashamed. I'm sorry because I did it. I hurt you. I threatened your family. I let my mother's expectations guide everything I did, and I stopped seeing people as people." Her voice cracks, but she continues anyway. "You deserved better. Your family deserved better. And I will accept whatever happens next." Alina exhales slowly, a fragile sound filled with relief, lingering sadness, and the faint possibility of forgiveness someday. "But not yet." Judge Judy gives a slow, thoughtful nod, taking in everything that has been said. The atmosphere in the courtroom changes completely. It is no longer charged with conflict, but with quiet consequence. Even the cameras keep rolling, though the moment feels too personal for them. This is no longer spectacle. It is resolution. Judy straightens. "Miss Hale, accountability is not punishment. It is the beginning of becoming someone others can trust. You cannot undo what you have done to Miss Reyes and her family. But you can make amends. You can rebuild. And you can stop letting your mother's influence define your choices." Charlotte nods, wiping her face with trembling hands. She looks smaller now, but also lighter, like someone finally stepping out from beneath a shadow she was never meant to carry alone. Judge Judy continues, steady and clear. "This is my ruling." The courtroom falls silent again, as if bracing. "Miss Hale, you will provide restitution for the medical delays and emotional harm caused. You will issue a formal written apology to Miss Reyes and her family. In addition, the outreach program connected to your father's office will undergo an independent review to ensure no volunteer is ever placed in that position again." Charlotte lowers her head. Not in defeat, but in acceptance. Judy adds, "Regarding your mother's involvement, this court will refer the matter to the appropriate authorities. Actions taken behind closed doors do not stay hidden forever. A slight tremor runs through Charlotte, but she nods again. This time she understands. Accountability is not an attack, it is truth finally being allowed to exist. Elena closes her eyes for a moment. Relief settles over her. Not victory, not revenge, but the quiet return of dignity to her family's name. Judy turns to her. Miss Reyes, you showed courage today. And compassion. That combination is rare. Elena gives a small, grateful nod. Charlotte looks at her. No pride left, no entitlement. Only a fragile awareness of being seen clearly for the first time. With a single firm strike of the gavel, Judge Judy declares, "Case concluded." The sound echoes through the room, sharp, final, freeing. Elena exhales. Mark leans back exhausted. Murmurs begin to rise in the courtroom. Charlotte stays still for a long moment, then whispers to herself, barely audible, "I don't want to become who she made me." Judge Judy hears it. Her tone softens slightly. "Then don't. That choice is yours now." Charlotte nods, standing on unsteady legs, shedding the weight of expectations one breath at a time. And as she walks out of the courtroom alone, no protection, no name to hide behind, the truth settles behind her. Power can be borrowed, but integrity must be earned.